The rain poured down in thick, blinding sheets, hammering against the windshield like shards of broken glass. My fingers clenched the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. Just a few more miles, I whispered to myself, as if saying it aloud would somehow keep me safe. I had just left my lawyer's office, the ink on the inheritance papers still fresh, the weight of $11 million resting silently in a folder on the passenger seat. That money was supposed to be my second chance, my new beginning after years of betrayal. But fate had other plans. Out of nowhere, headlights cut across the road. A massive truck swerved, its horn blaring like a death sentence. I had no time to think. Tires screeched. The world spun. Metal screamed as my car rolled into darkness. Then nothing. When I opened my eyes, the sterile sting of antiseptic hit my nose. My body was wrapped in bandages, and machines beeped around me. "You're lucky to be alive," the doctor said, his tone carrying both relief and disbelief. "That crash should have killed you." But surviving the accident was only the beginning. As I lay in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind kept replaying not the crash itself but the betrayal that led me there. My husband Daniel, the man I had loved for 20 years, had remarried just months after abandoning me. Worse, he had remarried into the very circle that once mocked me for being weak and ordinary. And while I lay broken, the whispers reached me his new wife hated me with a venom I couldn't understand. Yet destiny works in strange ways. The inheritance my late uncle left me had changed everything. With $11 million suddenly in my name, the people who had once dismissed me now had reasons to watch, to whisper, to envy. And when Daniel's new wife finally saw me alive, breathing, standing in front of her, she screamed as though she had seen a ghost. But that moment, that confrontation, was still to come. For now, as I traced the bruises on my body, I knew only one thing. Surviving the crash wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of a reckoning. The days after the crash blurred into each other, marked only by the sound of machines and the hushed footsteps of nurses. My ribs ached with every breath, but the pain in my chest wasn't just physical. It was betrayal, raw and sharp. I overheard the nurses whispering near my door. "Isn't that Daniel Morris's first wife?" one of them said. "I heard she inherited millions. No wonder the family suddenly cares." Their words hit me like ice. I hadn't told anyone yet, but news spreads faster than healing wounds. Soon, I wasn't surprised when Daniel himself walked into my room, holding a bouquet of cheap supermarket flowers. His smile was thin, rehearsed. Behind him, lurking like a shadow, stood his new wife, Clarissa. Younger, flawless, dripping in designer jewelry that screamed greed rather than love. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe, as if cataloging every scar. Then she smirked. "So, you survived." The doctor cleared his throat awkwardly, excused himself, and left me with the two people I least wanted to see. Daniel sat at my bedside, trying to sound gentle. "We were worried about you. The kids too." I wanted to laugh. Our children had been distant ever since Daniel poisoned them with lies about me. And now here he was, acting the concerned ex-husband, but I could see it in his eyes. He wasn't here out of love. He was here because of the inheritance. Clarissa broke the silence. $11 million. That's quite the miracle considering your condition. Her voice dripped with venom. "I suppose fate has a twisted sense of humor." I clenched my fists under the blanket. That moment, I made a vow. I wouldn't let them circle me like vultures. This money wasn't theirs to touch. For years, they had treated me like I was disposable. But now, the balance of power was shifting. And soon, Clarissa would realize just how badly she had underestimated me. When the hospital finally discharged me, I returned to my modest house, or what was left of it. Mail had piled high at the door, bills unpaid, reminders of how Daniel had left me drowning in debts before walking away. But inside, waiting for me, was the folder, the inheritance. $11 million, real, untouchable, mine. As I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the check, memories of the crash replayed. It wasn't just an accident. The truck driver had sworn he saw another vehicle push mine off the road, but no license plate was ever found. The thought gnawed at me. Was it really fate? Or was someone hoping I wouldn't survive to claim this fortune? That night, I dreamed of Clarissa's cold smile in the hospital. The way she said, "So, you survived." It wasn't concern, it was disappointment. The next morning, the phone rang. Daniel. His voice was syrupy sweet. "Listen, we should talk about the kid's future. You could set up a trust, maybe. It would be the right thing to do." I knew what he was really saying. Hand over the money. Let us control it. I kept my tone calm. "Daniel, I almost died. And when I was broken and alone, you abandoned me. This money isn't for you. It's my fresh start." The silence on the other end was chilling. Then he muttered, "You'll regret this," before hanging up. I stared at the phone, trembling, but also stronger than I had felt in years. For the first time, I wasn't afraid. 2 weeks later, a gold-edged envelope arrived in my mailbox. An invitation. Daniel and Clarissa were hosting a family dinner, apparently to welcome me back into the circle. The hypocrisy was almost laughable, but something in me stirred. I wanted to see their faces. I wanted to look Clarissa in the eyes, not as the discarded wife she mocked, but as a woman who had survived death itself and returned stronger. So I went. The night of the dinner, the house glittered with chandeliers and expensive wine glasses. Their wealth was on display, though I knew most of it was credit, appearances, and lies. As I entered, heads turned. Whispers filled the air. "She's alive? That's the first wife." Clarissa's smile faltered the moment she saw me. Her face drained of color, and then the sound that froze the room. She screamed. A piercing, guttural scream, as if she had truly seen a ghost. All eyes shifted between us. Daniel rushed to her side, but his own face betrayed shock. I simply stood there, calm, breathing, alive. "What's the matter, Clarissa?" I asked softly. "Didn't expect me to walk into your perfect little world?" The silence that followed was thick with unease, and in that silence, I realized they weren't just afraid of me. They were hiding something. Clarissa recovered quickly, masking her fear with fake laughter. "Oh, forgive me. You startled me, that's all." But her trembling hands told another story. Dinner was a performance. Daniel poured wine, forced conversation, tried to pretend we were all one big happy family. But I could see the tension crackling beneath the surface. Midway through the meal, Clarissa leaned closer. "That crash. It must have been terrifying. Sometimes I wonder how you managed to survive." The way she said it slow, deliberate, sent chills down my spine. Later that evening, as I slipped away from the dining room, I overheard voices in the study. Daniel and Clarissa. "You promised me she wouldn't live," Clarissa hissed. "How was I supposed to know she'd crawl back from the dead?" Daniel snapped. "She has the money, Daniel. If we don't get it, everything we've built falls apart." My knees nearly gave out. The crash. It hadn't been an accident. They had wanted me gone. But instead of bursting in, I smiled quietly to myself. Now I knew the truth. And with that truth, I would destroy them. I contacted my lawyer the next morning. We drafted new documents, airtight, placing my fortune in a foundation under my full control. Daniel and Clarissa would never touch a cent. But I wasn't finished. I began gathering evidence, recordings, witness accounts, even the truck driver's statement about the mysterious car that pushed me off the road. Piece by piece, I built my case. Meanwhile, Daniel and Clarissa grew bolder. They sent friendly messages, invitations, even veiled threats. Family should stick together. Think of the children. I played along, smiling sweetly in public, while secretly preparing their downfall. And then the perfect opportunity came. A charity gala, packed with people, cameras, and reporters. Daniel and Clarissa begged me to attend, to show unity. I agreed, because that night, their masks would shatter in front of everyone. The ballroom sparkled with lights, laughter, and clinking glasses. Daniel and Clarissa paraded me around like a trophy, whispering to guests about forgiveness and family. But when the speeches began, I stepped forward. Microphone in hand, I told my story. The inheritance, the crash, the betrayal, and then I played the recording of their private conversation. Their admission of plotting my death. Gasps filled the room. Faces turned toward them in shock. Daniel went pale. Clarissa tried to laugh it off, but her voice shook. Security moved closer. Reporters swarmed. Questions shouted. Cameras flashed. The empire they had built on lies collapsed in minutes. Clarissa's eyes burned with hatred. "You'll regret this," she spat as officers approached. I smiled. "No, Clarissa, you will." In the weeks that followed, Daniel and Clarissa's world crumbled. Fraud investigations, attempted murder charges, frozen accounts. Their names became synonymous with scandal. As for me, I finally felt free. Not because of the money, but because I had taken back my life. I had survived not just a crash, but years of manipulation and cruelty. One afternoon, while walking through my garden, I saw my children approach. For the first time in years, they looked at me not with suspicion, but with shame and regret. "Mom, we're sorry," my daughter whispered. I opened my arms. "It's never too late." Clarissa, once the flawless queen, now sat in a cold prison cell. And the last time she saw me, during the trial, she screamed again, not from shock this time, but from the realization that she had lost everything. I survived the crash. I survived them. And with every breath, I lived as proof that those who betray the ones who loved them most will one day face their reckoning.